The Mini 5 Pro has several new functionalities. Most of them are useful mainly for filming. In this video I will focus on photography with a walk through all the settings and features for still images, including some interesting new ones. I will keep things easy for beginners, but experienced users will find several useful pieces of information. There are three main locations where we can control the behavior of the Mini 5 Pro for still images: in the settings, in the exposure window, and in the main photo-video menu next to the shutter. The menu is context-sensitive, meaning the settings differ between video and photo modes. Before tapping the three dots at the top right of the screen, we choose Photo from the photo-video menu. Now the menu relays to Photo. In the first tab, Safety, there are a couple of options to choose for peace of mind during your photo shooting sessions. I always set obstacle avoidance action to bypass or break, as it is easy to get distracted when searching for the best target to frame, and the obstacle detection system has saved my drone on many occasions. Scrolling down, we can turn on or off a powerful auxiliary LED. It is useful when bringing the aircraft back home in low light. At the bottom, open the Advanced Safety Settings to specify the behavior in case of signal loss. Descent must be avoided, as we don't want our drone to land on someone's property, into bushes, or on a lake. In most cases, I set it to return to home, but when flying indoors, under trees, or in other tight spaces, it is preferable to choose Hover. Let's move to the Control tab. The gimbal roll rotation is a major new feature. It is mostly used for filming, but it can occasionally be useful for creative photos with an unusual orientation, while retaining the full resolution. In the Control tab, scroll down to Button Customization to check to which button combination gimbal roll is assigned, according to the remote controller you use. Further down we find Gimbal Calibration. Here we can automatically calibrate it if prompted by the app, but we can also assess manual if the horizon is slightly slanted. Most functionality for photography are located in the Camera tab. The first option is the file format. We can choose to save the photos in JPEG, RAW, or both formats. Then we can select the size of the image. With 4x3 we get the full resolution of the sensor, 4032 by 3024 pixels, slightly more than 12 megapixels. If we choose 16:9, we get a cropped version to fit the traditional 4K landscape video format. I prefer 4x3 to take advantage of the full resolution for reframing or cropping. Further down, we can select the resolution between 12 megapixel and the 50 megapixel mode. I will do a specific video about the 50 megapixel mode with the Mini 5 Pro, as it would take too much time to analyze it in this one. I suggest subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell to be informed. The next item turns the histogram on and off. I keep it always on, as it is the main tool I use for exposure. To avoid overexposure, I leave some room between the last bar to the right and the right edge. Picking level is a tool for focusing. It outlines in red the element in focus, but only when using manual focus. I only use it when focusing manually on a subject close to the camera, but with drone on most occasions we leave it off. The next option, Overexposure Warning, is another tool for exposure. It overlays white stripes on the overexposed areas. I never use it, as I found it distracting. Further down we can overlay grid lines. I generally use the one in the middle to apply the rule of thirds. With drone we often have the horizon line in the frame. Rather than having it in the middle, it is more interesting to divide this scene into thirds and place it either on the upper or lower third. On other occasions, especially for top-down shots, we might want a symmetric framing, in which case the same overlay helps position the subject. The function style to adjust sharpness and noise reduction is not available for photo, as it is supplied only for video. But I don't really miss it, as the program I use for editing and organizing photos, Luminar Neo, has excellent tools for sharpness control and noise reduction. You can watch my video on Luminar Neo by clicking on the link on the screen. You will find info about it in the description below, together with a coupon for a discounting price. It is an affiliate link, so I get a small commission when a purchase is made. We find the exposure settings in the lower part of the screen to the right. In auto mode, the exposure is set by the software, and we can only access the EV value to adjust the overall luminosity. Since the app tends to overexpose slightly, I prefer to set the value at -0.3 or -0.7. By tapping on the icon on the right, we access manual mode, labeled as Pro. Then tapping on the values area slightly to the left, we access the window for exposure. In photography, there are three parameters for exposure: ISO, aperture and shutter speed, but with the Mini 5 Pro, like most other prosumer drones, we only have two values to deal with, as the aperture is fixed. We can set the values for ISO and shutter speed independently. The value at the bottom cannot be modified. It displays the luminosity resulting from the values chosen above, compared to the optimal exposure computed by the software. In this window, one of the two values, ISO or shutter speed, can be set to auto. Let's say we want a fixed value for ISO, 100, to get the best possible image quality. We set ISO to 100 and shutter speed to auto. When the luminosity varies, only the value for shutter speed changes to maintain the correct luminosity, leaving the ISO at 100. Notice that the value has now turned into EV for exposure value, and it can be modified. On other occasions, we might want a constant value for shutter speed. We select the desired value for shutter speed and set the ISO to auto, and this time, as the luminosity increases or decreases, only the ISO varies. By tapping on the icon on the lower left, we access another window where we can adjust the white balance, select the file format and image size, and check the storage space remaining in the SD disk and internal memory. We access the photo-video menu via the bottom above the shutter, on the right of the screen. On the menu on the left, after single shot, there is an icon for automatic exposure bracketing with a choice of 3, 5 or 7 images. This is useful in high dynamic range situations to merge the photos in HDR and reduce the difference in luminosity between the highlights and the shadows. I use the Merge to HDR functionality in Luminar Neo with excellent results. I often take photos with AAB set to 3 or 5 images, to be sure to always have a perfect exposure. Then time shot to take several images at a specific interval in seconds, which is useful for selfies after hiding a remote controller. Finally, burst with a choice of up to 7 shots for sports and action. In the right part of the menu we access different shooting modes, including panorama and hyperlapse. To the left of the shutters there are 3 buttons. The one at the top is to rotate the camera from landscape to portrait orientation to take vertical photos at full resolution, a big plus for social media users. The button below enables one of the main new features of the Mini 5 Pro, the 48 megapixel Med Tele mode. Thanks to the larger sensor, the camera can produce images at 2 times zoom with minimal loss of detail resolution, close to the quality of a second dedicated lens. We can also drag the icon to get a progressive zoom up to 3 times. There will be a loss of resolution, but I find it useful for inspections. Further down, there is a button to toggle between auto and manual focus, to be used only when the target is very close. Click on this link to watch my video about photography with the Mini 5 Pro. And don't forget to hit the like button if you find this video interesting. I will be covering all different aspects of this excellent drone. So it is a good idea to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell to be informed. Thank you.